Hi, welcome to Country Carnivore. My name's Gwen, and today we're going to be cooking garlic sesame hamburger buns. And that's actually for my husband. For me, we will be cooking rosemary garlic hamburger buns. So you're getting a 2-for-1 here. Two variations, very close. The recipe is very close. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these together in one. So let's start with the sesame garlic hamburger buns. What you will need are 4 eggs. You're going to separate them. You'll see that. We're going to need 2 teaspoons of gelatin. We will also need a half of a teaspoon of baking powder. And then we will need, here we go, 1 tablespoon of mascarpone cheese. Sorry, 1.5 tablespoons. And then, this is where the fun comes in. We will need another tablespoon of cheese, but this time we're going to use the Boursin, and this is the garlic and fine herb Boursin. Okay, I got this at Walmart. I've seen it in every grocery store, I feel like my whole life, so you should be able to get this. And then, of course, for the garnish, we'll be putting sesame seeds on there, and I have a tablespoon of butter melting on the stove right now that I'm going to brush on the top of the bun to get the seeds to stick. All right, so just a quick recap: 4 eggs, 2 teaspoons of gelatin, a half a teaspoon of baking powder, 1.5 tablespoons of the mascarpone cheese, and 1 tablespoon of the Boursin cheese. So here's the technique. Now, nobody likes this technique because it's a little bit of a pain, but it works and it's worth it. That said, normally I would make a double batch of these because I can throw the rest of them in the freezer, and you just take them out and they thaw out in 2 seconds and you've got them to go, right? You're already going through all the trouble. You've got your mixer out, just make a whole bunch. Today I'm doing a single batch because I'm kind of splitting the batch. It doesn't matter. We're doing 1 batch, but I recommend doing more than 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate my eggs, and I need to whip the egg whites and get them to become firm and peaking. In order for that to work, there can't be any oil, which means any yolk, in those egg whites, or else they just won't go anywhere. They won't whip up. So you need to separate them. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'm just cracking the egg in here, and with my hand, I'm scooping up the egg yolk, and then I can kind of use my fingers to pinch off the white. And since it looks good, I'm going to go ahead and dump that in there and repeat. So I'll do this 4 times in total. All right. And while I'm doing this, I will mention that my oven is at 350. I got to separate this yolk into another. Uh-oh. My rosemary just went into my yolk. All right, that's fine. Okay. Oven 350. Right. So I'm preheating my oven to 350. I'm going to use 2 trays. I'm using my 4-inch silicone muffin top mold. I'll link below. I got them on Amazon. They work fantastic for this. They're the right size. The other thing you want to know is that when you're doing this technique, however you put these in is how they're going to look coming out. So these don't blow up and expand the way you expect any kind of other bread product. They're pretty much where you put them. That's it. That's the size they're going to be. That's how they're going to look. They don't change much. So if pretty is important to you, you'll want, I almost did the bad thing here. I almost put my yolk right in the whites. You'll want to make sure that the buns kind of look the way you want them to look, and that they're filling the whole mold, because they're not going to poof out and fill it up. All right. That said, all right. So that yolk broke, which means the dogs are going to get this one. I need to do another one. This is why I'm doing it in a separate bowl. If I did it right into this, I would have just ruined all those eggs. And of course, this is the last one. All right, all better. Within this mixture, I want to go ahead and add the 2 teaspoons of gelatin. So I just use, any beef gelatin works. I've got it in a separate jar just because it's easy for me to measure out. So again, 2 teaspoons. Right. Gonna sprinkle that in there. All right. And then I want my half teaspoon of baking powder. And it's just a mineral. We don't need to worry about it not being carnivore. There we go. All right, that's it. So now I'm going to go ahead and let this whip. It'll take about 6 minutes. I'll let you know how long it really took once we're all done here. But we're going to whip this up on high. I'm going to start it slow and then increase the speed. And we want nice, firm, white, fluffy, starting to peak and be firm. That's what we're looking for. This folding table doesn't really hold up to the mixer very well. Oops. All done. This is ready to go. Now I'm actually you could have done this while it was mixing. What you'll want to do now is you're going to mix your egg yolks with your cheeses. All right. So we have, again, 1.5 tablespoons of the mascarpone. All right. And it's helpful if you let these things soften a little bit. There we go. It's not necessary though. All right, so we've got our one. I'm kind of eyeballing this. We're going to call that a half. Okay. And then we've got the Boursin, right? Our Boursin garlic and fine herbs. I do like herbs even on my carnivore diet. Not everything agrees with me. But I do grow my own herbs for the things that I like and that don't bother me. This garlic is a bit strong for me. That's why I'm only using the 1 tablespoon. You could do 2.5 tablespoons of all the Boursin cheese. You don't need to use the mascarpone. I'm just using it to cut the flavor because it's overpowering to me. But I think that might just be because I've been on this diet for so long. I'm a wimp when it comes to extra flavors now. That's done. Now I want to mix up the cheese with the egg yolks. And it doesn't have to be perfect. If you were doing this the entire time that this thing was going, you probably get most of it mixed in. But if there's some lumps, it's really not the end of the world. I'll tell you right now, there's going to be some lumps in this one because I'm trying to do it fast. And then what we'll do is we're going to just fold this into the egg white mixture very gently. And our goal is to not deflate the egg whites that we just fluffed up. That's why we wanted them nice and firm so they could kind of withstand a little bit of manipulation. All right, this is ready. I will show you lumps and all. It's not perfect. There's some lumps in there, but it'll be fine for this. All right, she said as she continues to stir. Set this aside. All right. Let me get my eggs out of here. Now I'm going to take these egg whites. You can see there's some firmness there. You see that ball rolling around? And I'm going to mix them in with the yolk cheese mixture. And I just want to gently handle these as little as possible. Now I'm gently folding the egg whites in with the yolk mixture. And I'm really focusing on not just stirring this all up and deflating the egg whites. So I can see the yellows pretty evenly spread throughout these whites. I don't see any pooling on the bottom here. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the mixture into my silicone forms. Let me get this out of the way. I want to make sure you can see what I'm doing. I promise I just had a spatula. Oh, there it is. All right. And I'm just spooning these gently into the forms. I try to evenly sort of divvy it up between the 6 forms here. And then I'll go through and shape it with my spatula. Like I said, wherever you put these, that's how they're going to turn out. So if you don't shape these, it's not like they're going to pool like a cookie and then fluff up and, you know, and look magically beautiful at the end. This is it. So if presentation's important to you, here's your opportunity to get it pretty. I've distributed the mixture evenly in all 6 of these little cups. So I'm just taking the back of my spatula and sort of smoothing it out. Making sure they're, you know, uniform in size in case I need to move some of the mixture around. Now we're ready for the butter and the sesame. So in this saucepan, I've just melted a little bit of butter here. You people probably have microwaves and you could just do that. But I don't have a microwave. I don't really want a microwave. So this is what I do instead. So I'm just taking a pastry brush and I'm very lightly going over the top of this. And again, this is another opportunity to, well, impart some flavor, but also sort of smooth it out. And then I'm going to take my sesame seeds and I'm just going to sprinkle them on there. We have a little sesame seed buns here. Now I've got 6 units here. I'm only putting this on 3 of them, right? Because this will be my top bun. So I'm only, you know, putting the butter and decorating 3 of these. The other 3 will be the bottom. So I don't need to bother with them. You could do all of them if you want, but that's what I'm doing. The garlic sesame buns are ready to go into the oven. I'm going to set them aside because I want to put them in with my next batch and cook everything all at once. I've got 2 racks in the oven. And the way this works is we're going to put it in for 20 minutes and then we're going to turn off the oven without touching anything. And we're just going to leave them in there, just like what you would do with a meringue. So because I don't want to be messing with things, I do want these to go into the oven at the same time. And because we're both having hamburgers tonight, and one's for me, one's for him, I want to make sure they're done at the same time. So I'm going to set these aside. I'm going to clean up a little bit because I cannot have any yolks in my next batch of egg whites. So normally I kind of reuse the bowl because it's really the same ingredients, but I don't want to impart any of that egg yolk into my egg whites accidentally, and then they won't be fluffy. So I'm going to clean up real quick and then we'll do the next one. I'm ready for round 2. We're going to go ahead and do the next batch, which will be our Rosemary Black Garlic buns for hamburgers. Again, I'm starting off by separating the eggs very carefully. Let's do that. There we go. Pinching it with my fingers. Set the yolk aside and put that egg white in and repeat. The eggs are separated. I've got the yolks set aside. I'm going to mix those together with the cheese in just a second. Before I do that, I want to get this mixing. So again, this is just 4 egg whites, 2 teaspoons of gelatin, and I'm putting it in with the egg whites. You can get the mixture going before you put the gelatin in there. I'm not doing it because it's loud and you wouldn't hear what I'm saying, and it's not the end of the world. So there's my gelatin, and again, my baking powder, just a half a teaspoon of baking powder. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna let the mixer go, and I'm going to mix the cheese in with the egg yolks. What a whirlwind. The egg whites are done, nice and firm, and the cheese has been mixed in with the egg yolks. So now I'm ready to fold everything together and get it cooking. I can't wait. Let's see. Right out. Isn't that crazy how thick those things get? Here we go. And again, I'm just taking the spatula and gently, she said as she banged on the side of the bowl, gently transfer these into the bowl with the cheese mixture, or vice versa. You could put the cheese egg yolk mixture in here. Now, some people have reported back to me that they didn't want to take the time to separate things, and that's fine, but you're really not going to get that sort of spongy, bready, bunny feel to it. It'll be a far more dense product. It'll taste good, and you'll still be carnivore compliant. It just won't be that nice texture you're looking for. So if you're in a rush and you don't feel like doing this, I get it. Again, this is why I do big batches of things, because I'd rather do it all when I've got all the equipment out and just freeze everything for later. And now I have to pay attention here because I almost just stirred this like a maniac. And I really, again, just want to very slowly fold it in. Just like I did with the muffin tops on the sesame seed buns, I'm going to take a tablespoon of melted butter with a pastry brush and just very gently put it on my top buns. Again, I'm sort of using the pastry brush to smooth it out, make it more aesthetically pleasing. While you guys weren't looking, I ran out front and I just snipped a little piece of, let's see, how can you see that? Of rosemary, just a little bit. And I'm just going to chop this up real quick with my kitchen shears, and I'm going to sprinkle it on my top buns. It'll look pretty and it'll taste really good. This is so aromatic. I like to grow my own herbs. That way I know there's nothing on them except dirt and rain. And I grow them right outside my kitchen window so that I always have access to the herbs I like. And then when they get really overgrown, I'll bring them in and dry them so that I've got them for the winter time. So here I've got my little rosemary bits, and I'm just going to sprinkle them on real lightly here. And I just want to enhance the flavor of the rosemary that's already in the cheese that we've incorporated into these buns. These are ready to go in. We're going to put everything in, like I said, 350, 20 minutes, and then heat off. Don't open the door, and let everything sit in the oven for another 30 minutes. That's it. everybody's out of the oven, I just wanted to show you what this looks like. How beautiful are those? So I have my sesame seed buns ready to go, top and bottom, and then my rosemary garlic. I hope you guys try this out and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for coming to Country Carnivore. See you next time.